Holy shit. Holy shit.
225 pounds. How you doing?
But you know what, man? Speaking of football, Tyrone Tracy Jr., are you a little pissed that he came here and you weren't able to make it?
A little bit, but you know what? Like, at the end of the day, I work for a living, so
I know.
I totally get it. Sometimes the schedules don't mesh, but you know what? I'll meet him one day, and it'll be an epic meeting.
He did say that he left the door completely open, right? Len, wasn't he basically saying that he wants to come back?
Yeah,
and he was telling us he wanted to come and plate with us.
And then one of these days, maybe we could do like an episode or something and come here. We'll cook and
all about
that would be tough. That would be a good episode.
On a Saturday, I'm like, listen,
dude, that's epic.
Don't get crazy, but you know, obviously the one thing Puma asked was, he said, "Hey, did you sneak any fantasy wise guy stuff in there?" And best believe that is the next question, because the more in touch we get with these people, maybe the more information we get.
Yeah, hey, listen, it's better than Adam Schefter, that's for sure.
If Puma keeps winning bets, maybe we'll fucking blow up. I don't know.
I don't know. If I keep winning bets, I don't have to do any of this anymore.
That's actually a really good point. So I guess let's let it rip. I mean, welcome to the Fantasy Wise Guys. Well, apparently we make smart moves so you don't have to. You know, we got Tyrone Tracy, Puma's winning millions of dollars over here. We're your hosts, Mike Meals.
Joey Puma, how you doing?
Now, I mean, what do we got to talk about today, Puma? Before I even say that, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know what you think. We're about to talk about the NFL draft today. A couple of things, preview-wise. Are you excited, Puma?
Oh, my God. We're, a week away. I mean, 6 days, until the NFL draft. And it is a very important time. We have particularly some destinations that we would like to see certain players go for fantasy. When this time comes, I really don't care too much about the defensive side of the ball. But this year, especially with Travis Hunter in the draft, it has a special meaning, because now as a fantasy player, as a dynasty draft, a dynasty owner drafting in a rookie draft, we have to know which side of the ball is he going to particularly be most of the time.
Big time.
Like for us, we'd rather him major in wide receiver and minor in cornerback. And, we'll get to those points as we move along.
I think just the fact that you brought that up, though, it's very clear that there's a lot of question marks behind him. To me, despite how good of an NFL player someone like that might be, I don't know if he's going to be that productive in fantasy in an offensive game. So I'm really curious to see what happens.
It's so funny because I think he is literally Justin Jefferson and Darrelle Revis in one body.
Yeah, if he could play 100% of the snaps, or let's say even 70 to 80 on both sides of the ball, like he did in college, do you think he'd be productive enough as like a Justin Jefferson?
Absolutely. I think that, nowadays with the younger generation going two-way, you see Shohei Ohtani in Major League Baseball pitching and hitting. Not that it's the same as football. I think baseball's harder.
Yeah.
For football, though, it is a little tougher because you do have to be in two meeting rooms now. You got to be in the defensive back meeting room. You have to be in the wide receiver meeting room. So it is a lot to work with. That's why they translate him being more of a cornerback. It's easier to play than being a wide receiver, being on time with the quarterback. All that stuff he has to grasp. But at the end of the day, I think he's that talented that he can be impacting the game like that.
Personally, I think it's a risky pick if you take him in any dynasty leagues, unless it's an absolute steal. But
right.
I think that there's other guys that you should go for beforehand just because of the uncertainty.
Yes.
Well, he is also one of the, so we were looking at the attendees of the NFL draft. A lot of people, or a couple people were invited. Offensively, the only people that are notable for fantasy, you got Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter, Teteroa McMillan, T-Mac, and our boy Matthew Golden. These were the main offensive players that were invited. Also, some linemen, Will Campbell, Membo, who else was there? Tyler Booker, all these guys. Shamar Stewart, defense, Mason Graham. But offensively, these are the only guys. So
I'm surprised. No. Our boy Amarian Hampton.
Yeah, no Hampton.
Wow.
And I see also, so Jackson Dart and Shador Sanders, both snubbed.
Yeah, I don't like it, but also too knowing how his father Deion Sanders was drafted. He was drafted amongst family and friends. You know, when they announced his name, he was home way back, I believe, in the 90s or 80s. So for me, again, like father, like son, and I believe they're gonna go about it the same way. And they just want to be around family and to celebrate rather than go up on stage.
So would you say that this means anything when you're actually not going to be there or not? Do you think this has any significance of how the NFL ranks you? Oh, how you doing?
Yeah, really.
Jesus.
Hey, they want to tune in as well.
Yeah, for real.
No, not in particularly. I mean, again, maybe they were extended the invite and they said no.
Yeah.
I think it's a two-way street because who wouldn't want Shador Sanders there? Who wouldn't want Jackson Dart there? I think some people, a la Baker Mayfield back in the day, who was picked number 1 overall, they just want to be around family and not, have maybe that pressure or to be in the spotlight right then and there. So I think it's just all about who you spend the time with.
It's funny how they word everything too in these articles.
Right.
They almost like try to just a little clickbait, Jackson Dart not going to be there.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes more so they give you the option.
Yeah.
And those two particular high-profile prospects are just not attending.
Yeah, I like to think the same because when I saw Jalen Milroe there and no Shador Sanders, something was off. That's why I was asking you. It just seemed a little odd to me.
Jalen Milroe, it can be a Lamar Jackson Cinderella. He makes it, 28 to 31 and someone comes up and drafts him and trades up. Or he's a Geno Smith and he goes day 2. We don't know how the board is going to fall,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, more or less, we know who the top 3 picks are going to be. At 4, it gets very interesting with the New England Patriots because, again, if Shador is still on the board, how we are all projecting he will be, you will have teams calling in, hopefully, to trade up for him. A la the Saints, a la the Pittsburgh Steelers, because now, as we will lead into, Rodgers still hasn't signed yet.
And it's really tough, too, because the way that the order falls in those first couple picks, I mean, I feel like it could make a big difference. That guy like Will Campbell, for example, offensive tackle, somebody like the Patriots might want to pick him up to protect their rookie quarterback that they have everything invested in right now. Then they brought in wide receivers over there.
But you see, for me, like if you're New England, and you're picking that high, yes, you want to protect your young quarterback. But other than Stephon Diggs, there is no real pass catcher. How about them stick a knife into the New York Jets and take a Tyler Warren? Or, I know they do have Hunter Henry, but how long does he really have? Or they get our boy Matthew Golden. I could definitely see him there, separates from players. So, and Tedero McMillan. That's an option as well.
So let's go to some desirable landing spots. I have a few. I'm sure you do too. I guess we could start with one of the number 1 guys, Ashton Genty. I would love to see him in Dallas simply for the reason that we talked about in the past. He is a workhorse running back. They are in desperate need of a running back right now. And I think with maybe Javonte, carrying a couple, I would say at least 20% of the game. He could probably get 20% of the snaps. Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty could see a lot of production. And behind Dak and CD, I think that can make them a powerhouse offense. Plus, Schottenheimer has this reputation of being a running coach. Why not see him land over there? I think I would love to see him there over the Raiders. I'd love to see him there over Patriots. The only other team I would love to see him on more than anybody is the Jets, but that's not going to happen.
No, I mean, for me, that same player, I know as we'll get to our mock drafts and who we want, and who do we think that is going to go where. But for me, my desired landing spot, Chicago Bears.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's just that obvious. It's plug and play. You put him alongside DeAndre Swift. You basically have Jahmyr Gibbs on steroids. That's what Ashton Genty is. He's LaDainian Tomlinson 2.0.
So do you think, though, that they could, behind Ben Johnson, that he can make them like that Montgomery
Right, and that's
Jahmyr
what I'm,
Gibbs combination.
And that's what I'm going towards, is that I think he's taking that same brand of football and he's trying to apply it to the Chicago Bears. I mean, all you have to do is just look back to free agency and trades.
Yeah.
That the Chicago Bears basically revamped their whole line. They have 4 new starters out of 5 at this moment.
Let's say I draft Ashton Genty, though. I just feel like I would love the guaranteed carries and role as opposed to having to fight with DeAndre Swift first season. But he's.
Well, you know what?
That could be a
Gibbs had
juicy play, too.
Jahmyr Gibbs had that same questions, of course. But again, you have the same offensive coordinator that breathed that committee back in Detroit. And you could see as time went on, Jahmyr Gibbs became the head honcho, and he was taking most of the snaps. And not for nothing, I mean, it is a running offense first, so you're going to need 2 guys. Like we've said in previous shows, there's no such thing as a bell cow anymore, unless you're Henry or Barkley.
So he's got a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Amarian Hampton, I would love to see him go to Denver. They also need a running back desperately.
Right.
The guy Javonte Williams we were just talking about is now in Dallas.
Yeah.
So they're completely open. A young team. I feel like they would thrive off of having somebody like him. They just signed Evan Ingram. Obviously, Bo Nix. Their defense is stellar. Yeah, I could see. I could see him making a nice home over there.
I agree with you, and that was my destination for Hampton too. Was Denver. In a realistic draft, I feel like he will fall to them, and that could be really good, especially how, oh my God, they have McLaughlin, right? So, like how Ben Johnson comes from that system of the Lions from last year. Sean Payton had Mark Ingram and Kamara back in the day. So, maybe a little tandem here where McLaughlin is like a poor man's Kamara, and you have Hampton as your Mark Ingram, and because a bigger back and can take that full load. I feel like Denver, you hit the nail right on the head, is a great destination for Hampton.
Yeah, McLaughlin too is a really good complementary running back. Good third down back, catches the ball. Yeah,
but I feel like eventually Hampton would take the full load.
Oh, absolutely, especially at his age. Why not?
Yeah.
I also said Matthew Golden to the Packers. I saw a lot of people saying that they would like to see Matthew Golden get drafted to the Texans, but me personally, I think Jordan Love can use somebody like that over there. And
Carolina Panthers.
Panthers.
Think that Bryce Young right now only has Leggett and Adam Thielen. Not enough. We want to see a 3rd-year leap for young Bryce Young. No pun intended. But, we want to see a 3rd-year leap for Bryce. And I think the best bet is to either get a Tyler Warren or a Matthew Golden, get some separation. Leggett, for me, is a number 2. He is not a number 1. And Adam Thielen is your possession guy. So if you get Matthew Golden there in the first round, top 10 pick, he's a future stud. We know it. They know it. My comparison to him right now is like an AB. Every time I keep watching film of Matthew Golden, I just think Antonio Brown. Separation, the size, he's got a lot of talent, and I think he's truly separated himself a little bit for me, and I know a lot of evaluators out there from T-Mac.
Yeah, I mean, I could see somebody like T-Mac going there too. I don't know though. They have the 8th pick. They also do need some edge desperately. As you know, everybody runs all over them, throws all over them. They have a horrible defense. I could see them drafting Jalen Walker from Georgia, or Mason Graham maybe.
For me, if Mason Graham is still on the board, I think personally they would go with Graham and and probably either come back into the first round or wait until the second round and get a receiver then.
I love Tyler Warren to the Jets.
Dude,
I'm under the assumption that the top 2 offensive tackles are drafted already. What's the guy from Missouri? What's his name? Membo. And Will Campbell.
Yeah.
I feel like if they're both off, let's say the Patriots and Jaguars take both of them to protect their young quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence and what's his name, Drake May, then the Raiders take Genty, Jets, Tyler Warren, make us happy for a change.
I don't even think he reaches the Jets.
You don't think Tyler Warren reaches the Jets?
No, I truly believe, especially when Jacksonville is the real opportune place for him at 5. For me, they got rid of everybody. You know that. They got rid of Christian Kirk,
Evan
Ingram, a tight end, so they need to replace that tight end. Obviously, Warren is younger, inexpensive, better. So why not with a young stud tight end, and you pair him with Brian Thomas, and that's your next pair for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Because he is still developing, Trevor Lawrence, and for me, I don't even feel like Tyler Warren could set up as a tight end. You could set up Tyler Warren, honestly, in the slot.
Yeah, you could put him out there. And he can also block for you and help you win in the trenches.
Right, exactly. So makes some holes for like Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Or, and a lot of my mock drafts, I was actually playing around with the opportunity of maybe Genty to the Jaguars. And you would have a Genty Tank Bigsby and get rid of Etienne.
Etienne, trade him or something.
But realistically, I feel like the things that are more in play for Jacksonville is Warren or like a Mason Graham or Jalen Walker.
In terms of fantasy, I have to say, if Tyler Warren is drafted amongst the top 12, let's say, you have to imagine that team is going to invest a lot into him. He's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of playing time, and he could, be the next Brock Bowers or the next Sam Laporta, one of these guys that
George Kittle.
Body type. I'm saying one of these rookies emerging rookies over the last 2 years.
I'll be all
coming
over
in.
that.
I know you will. And weren't you over Sam Laporta rookie year?
Yes. So
Sam Laporta 2023.
We won a championship with.
2024. Brock Bowers.
We won a championship with.
Late round picks.
Yes.
Right now, Tyler Warren is going as the tight end 8 in terms of overall ADP consensus. Right. So
and round 7 to Puma in 2025.
So we're saying basically wherever Tyler Warren goes, we're keeping an eye on him.
Yes, absolutely. It's a new age now, and the tight end is mostly used. And these stud guys that are coming out, teams are drafting them high. They're going to be used.
So what are you thinking, though, for some like your desired spots, like Jackson Dart, Shador Sanders, Milroe, Aguka? Talk to me. What do you think?
For me, I feel like Sanders, good for fantasy, New Orleans Saints. I mean, you would have Alvin Kamara in the backfield. You would have a young Chris Olave, right? So for me, he's got weapons there. Rashid Shaheed, right, on New Orleans. He has some weapons, and I believe with Kellen Moore, he would develop him. He's a quarterback guru, so to speak. Yeah. He's been with Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott that year that he put up all those points in Dallas. So for me, Kellen Moore would be a great fit and a great destination for Sanders. But for me, where he should be is the New York Giants. And I know some people will say to me, well, is it too high to take him? And you're taking him out of need. Yes, and yes. At the end of the day, look at last year. They took Neighbors, great talent, but you should have had Bo Nix. You would have had a franchise quarterback. You could have had Michael Penix. And now you're in this spot. So again, right? So for me, the quarterback is the most important player in sports, not only. So for me, they need a quarterback. You get Sanders, but I think they'll end up with Abdul Carter. That's just me.
That's what I'm thinking too. And I think, they kind of made it clear about their intentions when they brought in Jameis, re-signed DeVito, brought in Russell Wilson.
You know that Dable and Shane are on the hot seat. And the bad thing about keeping them is that now they're forced to win right now. And you might think, oh, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because now they're drafting like they're going to get fired. So they're not going to be taking no Shador Sanders. Abdul Carter, if Travis Hunter falls, I was even thinking, which I have in my mock drafts that we're going to get to, I have them taking Genty. Why not? You lost Saquon Barkley. You would get the fans back on your side. Bring some excitement back to MetLife with him and Neighbors.
Yeah.
You have Russell Wilson, a little older quarterback. And let's see. Let's ball. Let's see where we're at. But that's what I would do.
I hope you're not watching this, Tyrone. He'd probably be. I wonder how he would feel if Ashton Genty. If anything, that would be a great 1-2 punch. Ashton Genty and Tyrone Tracy.
And listen, not that I've met Tyrone Tracy yet, but I do know he did play wide receiver in college.
Yeah.
So he could definitely
Iowa.
be great in the slot. You know, I've seen his game tape. You know, especially that last game they played in Atlanta, the New York Giants. He
That was the
made some
catch.
incredible catch, toe tapping. I believe you were playing me that week, and you put this bastard on
Len,
the bench.
You gotta show
For-
that clip of me telling him exactly what play I'm talking about.
Yeah, yes.
You caught the touchdown in the
Yeah,
end zone.
Really good footwork. There's one. There's the second.
Jumped up, caught it, toe tap.
No, I thought. Oh, really?
That was his only touchdown. I remember it. Like,
No, there was
only
an.
receiving-
Listen, I'm gonna
only
make you sound
receiving
even
touchdown.
really good. There was actually a touchdown you did have when I in-game took you in a parlay against Pittsburgh on Monday night.
Oh, Monday Night Football at the prime time, yeah.
You
Dude,
got
he
me
ran-
$100. How do you
He
do?
also ran for like 130 yards.
Dude, he was killing Pittsburgh.
But you're absolutely right, though, man. Like,
Yeah.
I can see Genty and these teams
Encyclopedia,
making a
bro.
weird. Oh, these teams making weird
Yeah.
picks like that. You mentioned the Browns the other day. How they took who'd they take? Johnny Football. You mentioned how they drafted Trent Richardson.
Yeah, all
weird
these bucks.
picks.
Yeah, I think in the end, at the end of the day, you have to stay true to the board, and I truly feel that some GMs, I mean, they're human too. Like when there's pressure on, they're gonna be forced to make a mistake. You know, they don't want to uproot their family. They don't want to get fired, so they get nervous and you know they jump to someone that maybe they didn't have conviction on, but the room likes them. But at the end of the day, you have to have conviction about the player and truly feel that they're going to be successful. For me, I truly feel that Shador Sanders is going to be successful. He is basically, to me, Kirk Cousins. You know,
Yeah.
game manager, but a great game manager. And if you put the tools around him, a Tyrone Tracy in the backfield, or come out, put him in the slot, 5 wide. You got Neighbors, Slayton, Wandell Robinson. It could be very successful. But again, you have to have the staff in place that believes in him.
Yeah, a lot of people, man, a lot of quarterbacks over there. But regardless, yeah, Sanders is not out. He's still a viable option, I'm sorry, for a lot of teams. We're gonna see. I mean, it depends on where he goes. So let's talk about some NFL then, right now, before we get to our top 10 projected picks. We'll do our mock draft.
Well,
at the
hold on
end.
a second. How about Jackson Dart? What do you think about him?
Oh, I mean, Jackson Dart, honestly, I'd love to see either him or Milroe go to the Steelers.
You know,
They
I'm not
need
a big Jackson Dart guy. Maybe it's because it's the number 2.
What do you mean? You were a big Jackson Dart guy. What happened now?
I guess I watched more tape, and you know what? It screams Zach Wilson. And that was Zach Wilson when he came out of BYU. I liked his tape, but the more and more you watched it, it was kind of like there wasn't good fundamentals. That's the word I was looking for. Fundamentals, you know, setting of the feet. You know, I was actually watching him this morning on NFL Good Morning. And it was kind of like, well, you know, he hasn't been playing football long. He's going to be the youngest. Actually, a stat for you guys out there. When he does enter the league, whichever team drafts him, he will be the youngest quarterback in the league, a la Zach Wilson back when. You know, I think, honestly, he can be the biggest risk or the biggest reward in this draft. To me, Jackson Dart, LA Rams. I think that's the perfect spot for him. And he just gets to sit behind a professional for 2 more years and learns from the best with Sean McVay.
That's what I actually put on here. Jackson Dart and Shador Sanders to the Rams would be a nice little thing, especially for like Puka managers or something going forward, you know, future-wise.
Yeah.
If you're in a dynasty league, he's
Right.
got a future there ahead of him.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about tape, I mean, just to go back to Shador Sanders, his pro day, in my opinion, was absolutely awful. So I don't know what you potentially saw there. I don't know if you were, you know, drunk or something, but his ball was more wobbly than anything. So how are you going to compare?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like everyone has their own opinion. That's number 1. Number 2, I feel like, you know, it is in the bloodline, right? At the end of the day, his pops was a professional and a superstar.
Yeah, they all want to give it to him because of Dion. We
you
get
know,
it.
thirdly, he didn't play with the greatest offensive line ever. Not for anything, the guy was sacked the most ever in FBS history. So for me, if he gets into the right situation, he could be very fortuitous.
All these quarterbacks could. I mean, last year, Caleb Williams, who else now? Michael Penix, McCarthy this year, then who else was there? Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. No, well, when the Giants were picking, they had Jaden Daniels.
But I'm just saying, in
overall.
I'm just saying a lot of quarterbacks became relevant from the draft, and we should see.
Oh my God,
the
there was
same
like
thing this year.
I mean,
Bo Nix.
we didn't even mention him, but J.J. McCarthy. I mean, he's going to have the reins in Minnesota.
Yeah,
he just got hurt, and it was Sam Darnold. But that's another juicy option. Today, it's so funny. Today, any of those 5 guys that went in the first round, they would have been the number 1 pick.
Absolutely.
It's crazy to say, but that's the drop off, and then it cycles around.
So I mean, I guess it's all hearsay for now. I mean, and yeah, like I said too, Milroe. I'd like to see him to go to one of these teams that are quarterback needy too, like the Steelers. I could see him over there.
Right, I could see him over there. Very Jalen-esque kind of attributes. I think for me, it's got to be some place where he could sit. Again, none of these guys could play right away. The only person that could play right away and who will be forced to is Cam Ward. He's the number 1 pick. And let's be honest, he's playing with Will Levis. Come on. So, other than that, everybody that's on this list should sit. At least a year.
I agree. So, like where there's smoke, there's fire. Bree Hall. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. Yes. You thought I was crazy.
I still think you're crazy, but yeah, go on.
Saying Bree Hall, there's been rumors that the Jets reportedly might consider trading him.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. And you know what? For me, I think that it's getting towards the draft, right? And because there is such a loaded running back class coming out this year, I truly feel the Jets probably have some of these running backs on their board. Not to say it's in the first round. It can be someone like a Caleb Johnson in the second round from Iowa, or even Judkins from Ohio State, kind of like a Kamara-esque player. But again, this is what happens when you have a new regime come in. They want their guys. Not to say Breece Hall sucks, but Breece Hall has been hurt the past 2 out of 3 seasons that he's been in a Jet. So
multiple knee injuries,
and I think they just put out these feelers to see if there's any interest. Because if there is truly some interest, I think the Jets would do it. I think that heavily favorite right now is the Washington Commanders. Brian Robinson had a great season, but he is not the long-term solution. I feel like they need an explosive back, and let's be honest, Jaden Daniels ran a lot in those playoff games. He's on the fringe of getting killed. So for me, I feel they need to protect him. What's the best thing to protect someone like that? Your future quarterback, have a great running game.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he goes, because there are a lot of other teams too, the Bears, the Cowboys. I could see them all busting a move for him. It's just a matter of what kind of compensation the Jets are going to get.
Well, yeah, especially if you see how the board falls to you. If you're Dallas Cowboys, why not give the New York Jets a ring and see, hey, look what's going on with Breece Hall. We'll give you our second round pick coming up.
Yeah, I mean, his fantasy projections right now are in limbo, and it really is going to be a matter of the draft. That's why everything is waiting on this NFL draft in a couple of days. Like everything. Yeah. This is going to dictate and set the tone for the rest of the season. Yes. It's basically the start of the fantasy season once this happens. Essentially, that's when you start seeing mock drafts come out.
Right. Correct.
So,
no, totally, and a lot of fun to be had coming up in the next week. That's for sure. A lot of speculation. So
let's do a quick running back keep trade cut. Who do we got there?
So for keep trade cut, who do we have? We had. Chuba Hubbard. Okay, so we got Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, Kenny Walker. Who are you trading? Who are you cutting? Who are you keeping?
So honestly,
I already know my answer.
So I'll start with mine then. So the keep. It's a really tough one. But
it is tough. You picked a tough one.
It's a tough one. And I will say that my keeper is going to be Chuba Hubbard.
Okay.
My trade is going to be Kenny Walker, and my cut's going to be James Conner.
Wow. Okay. So
ballsy.
That is ballsy. So mine is going to be, I'm going to keep Kenny Walker, Ken Bones Walker. I'm going to trade James Conner, and I'm going to cut Chuba Hubbard.
I knew you were going to do that.
Only because, and this is pre-draft recording, Jonathan Brooks, the backup in Carolina, is hurt. He is out for this upcoming season. Like I just mentioned before, it's a rich running back class coming out. I could see Carolina in the second round, or maybe they'll surprise us, and if Genty falls to them, they will take him, or Amarian Hampton. We don't know, obviously. But, again, another weapon for Bryce Young. Second round, maybe they get Trayvon Henderson from
well, they also
Ohio
just
State.
got Rico Dowdle. They also gave Chuba an extension.
Right.
And Jonathan Brooks on the IR.
Well, also, too, with Rico Dowdle, you still have somebody that is a viable option as well. Again, you're getting into a running back committee. In terms of these other guys, they are the clear-cut number ones. So I'm going to trade a James Conner because I feel like in that offensive system and John Gannon, he likes to run the ball, and I could get the most value there. Kenny Walker, I predict having a great year. He's going to be in a contract year, that 2022 class that I mentioned.
Yeah.
He's going to be looking for some money. And Sam Darnold, new quarterback, what's the best thing to do? Turn around and hand it to him.
The thing is, Kenny Walker and James Conner, they get injured a lot. And Kenny Walker also has Zach Charbonnet. James Conner has Trey Benson. Mm-hmm. I just feel like those guys are just waiting for their turn. And the second one of these guys goes down, they're going to take the number one away.
Yeah, it's a hard question because they're all good running backs.
They are. And honestly, just so you know, they're all ranked back-to-back in terms of ADP.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
So that was what made it very interesting.
That's tough. So if you're on the clock, really, and, you're in the 5th, 6th round, and this comes up, you're basically choosing between these three guys. Who would you take? Obviously, you'd take probably Chuba.
I mean, honestly, that's the funny thing, is that when it comes down to it, how can I pass up Kenny Walker knowing who he is? KW3. He is a very talented player.
I know who I'd take. I'd definitely go with Kenny Walker.
Kenny Walker, of course. He's amazing. Yeah. I like the way Chuba led off last year, though, and he's a little more durable. Yeah. Doesn't get hurt. I'm not even going to lie. I liked him 2 years ago. When he was picked up off free agency, he was a little flex play every once in a while.
Yeah.
And now that Bryce Hung. I called him Bryce Hung.
Bryce Hung.
Now that Bryce Young is a little bit more equipped and better now, as you can see, he last year at the end of the season did great. He was really hung, and he was throwing the ball to Chuba Hubbard a lot. So, let's see what happens because they all had great years last year. So let's end it with our top 10 projected picks. You gotta have to pull yours out, man. You got yours on your phone or anything?
Yes, I do have mine on my phone. I did have it off the top of my head.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes, you go first.
All right, so Len, I want you to just write this right here in front of me, right here.
That's it, and then you got mine.
So number 1, I say the Titans will draft quarterback Cam Ward. 2, Browns will draft Travis Hunter, wide receiver / quarterback. 3, the Giants will take your man Abdul Carter. 4, the Patriots will take your man Will Campbell, offensive tackle. 5, Jaguars will take Membao.
Wow.
I think 6, the Raiders will take Ashton Genty.
Okay.
7, the Jets will take Tyler Warren, tight end, our boy. 8, the Panthers will take Jalen Walker, edge rusher from Georgia. 9, Saints take Shador Sanders, their quarterback. And 10, the Bears, they take Mason Graham, help their defensive line. Because all their other options are off the board at that point. Genty, any tight end, Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, all those guys are off the board for them.
So for me, I wanted to have a little fun, because you know.
I saw yours. It was crazy.
I'm a gambler. At the end of the day, I'm a gambler. That's why I'm wearing this Ocean Casino comp shirt.
How you doing?
I'm a gambler at heart. So for me, I'm leading off, obviously, the consensus. Cam Ward, Tennessee Titans. Travis Hunter, cornerback / wide receiver. That's what he would like to be pronounced as. The New York Giants, this is a twist. I'm going to go Ashton Genty. Could you imagine how the place would erupt? Ashton Genty.
There you go crazy.
You are basically getting Saquon Barkley 2.0. Patriots, Abdul Carter. Again, best available. Vrabel's a defensive guy. If Abdul Carter fell to him, he's running up the ticket.
Yeah.
Jaguars, I mentioned before, Tyler Warren. I think with Evan Ingram's departure, they need someone else to take the onus off of Brian Thomas Jr. I don't think Gabe Davis is enough. Tyler Warren would help with that. Raiders, Jalen Walker. I feel like Pete Carroll, actually they had a statistic. When Pete was the coach of the Seattle Seahawks, right, the last 5 out of 6 seasons, he drafted all defensive players. Pete Carroll's about getting to the quarterback. Jalen Walker does that for you. Stud of Georgia University. New York Jets, just out of, back in the day, we did take Leonard Williams, right? And that was best available. Here, it's the same. Mason Graham. I know we already got Clemens, Quinnen Williams, and so on. Here, Mason Graham, you just add to that a plethora of talent. And, you keep interchanging, especially with Jermaine Johnson coming off the end. I have a little trade situation, trade alert. All right, we got the Carolina Panthers trading with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this leads to Aaron Rodgers not being there. I think the Steelers will trade up, see Shador falling, and this is the best trade partner to do it with because you're doing it in front of the New Orleans Saints, who are number 9. So with the 8th pick, Steelers come up, get Shador. Saints, then, I think, again, they just take best available. I mean, they lost Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders a year ago, so they are empty at that spot. Will Johnson, the best cornerback in the draft from Michigan. I say he goes to the Saints. Bears, enough said. Amarian Hampton. I think that would be a great future duo. Hampton, DeAndre Swift, and they go into that Ben Johnson system.
You don't got Membo going anywhere?
Membo, I would have falling, possibly.
Maybe the 49ers or something?
49ers or, off the top of my head, probably like Seattle, something like that, just to protect Darnold and their, future investment. But I think this will be a fulfilled draft of offensive linemen and edge rushers. I think the skill position, especially for fantasy, is going to be very small. I predict maybe only 4 wide receivers going off the board, 2 running backs, and 4 quarterbacks.
And we will see.
And 2 tight ends. My boy loves Loveland.
There's some interesting predictions you got there. And I mean, please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment below what you think of our predictions. Tell us, are we assholes? Are we morons? Or are we fucking geniuses?
Hey, at the end of the day, I look at it like most of these people are wrong anyway. I might as well have fun.
I mean, honestly, I'm talking to you, Matthew Berry. I've seen you be wrong a couple of times. I'm talking to all these guys out there. Listen,
might as well have fun.
Even Schefter, all these pricks are wrong. I love them all, though. But anyway, I'm Mike Meals. This is Joey Puma.
Yes.
That's us.
Master your game.